Hi everyone. My name is Victor. You guys probably know me since from last session several weeks ago. That was about student visa. Today, we are going to do an introduction session for another visa that usually comes after a student getting their student visa, which is the subclass 485 visa. Or we can call it a graduate working visa or temporary graduate working visa. It has a lot of names. And today we are mainly going to focus on only one stream. That's the post higher education stream. It used to have another name called PSW. Now the name has changed. It comes into a new name. It's called post higher education stream or just PHE stream. So first of all, let's have an overview of the visa. It's a temporary visa specifically designed for university graduates. And it's the major working visa for people who come to Australia and have studied. After they have finished their study, that's the probably the only or the most common way to get their work right. That's through this temporary graduate visa. So today, while we are talking about this visa, the today's session, the information session will probably goes for 30 minutes to 40 minutes, and we'll have 20 minutes for question and answers. I know you guys probably have a lot of questions regarding this visa, and it does have some sort of tricky parts, and we'll talk about that later. So let's look at some key features of this visa. So it's uh, post higher education stream, and the duration, the length of this visa is different. Uh, oh, sorry. There has been some mistakes here. I got a typo mistake. So bachelor uh and master's degree. I got it wrong here. This one is wrong. Both for both bachelor degree graduates and master degree graduates, they all have 2 year time for the for this visa. And for the PhD students, they can have up to 4 years for this visa. And for the regional graduates, we'll talk about that later. If some students who have studied in certain area, that's what we call regional area. If they have finished their degrees there for 2 years, they'll be able to have extended subclass 45 visa. That's also called a second 45 visa. That means if a student have satisfied certain criteria, normally on their first 45 visas, there will be a normal length. And then after they finish their first visa, they'll have a chance to apply for second 45 visa. And for the rights, this visa comes with unlimited work rights, and it also has unlimited study rights. That means if you want to do a full degree using your 45 visa, that's also possible. You don't need to apply for another visa. Uh, I think you don't even need a COE to enroll. They'll just enroll you. Okay, let's move on. For the eligibility criteria, we will be talking about 5 criteria. Oh man, there's also one. Sorry, there's also one typo mistake here. So we'll break down the criteria into mainly four parts: educational requirements, visa requirements, language proficiency, health, and character requirements. And at last, there's a basic requirement that is very short, the age requirement. It used to be 50. From this year on, it comes down to 35. That means it's under 35. That means once you have spent your 35th birthday, you won't be eligible for this visa. So first of all, let's talk about education requirement. That's probably the trickiest part of this visa. And usually, many of our sub-agents don't know whether students can satisfy this criteria. They don't know how long they need to study. They don't know whether they can have credits, have a lot of credits to shorten their study time. So it basically all the key features, all the key criteria are here. We'll talk about that now. So first of all, there are two big chunk of criteria that has to be met at the same time. Look at here, I draw two circles here. So basically you need to satisfy these two circles at the same time. So just looking at these criteria as two separate criteria, you have to meet them both. So first of all, you need to at least have 1 degrees completed in Australia. And there is a limitation on these degrees. So either bachelor's degree or master's degree or doctorate or PhD. So you need to have 1 degree. If you only have a graduate diploma, you don't or some sort of diploma or certificates in Australia, and you have studied enough time, you won't be able to meet the criteria for this stream. And then the criteria is called the Australian study requirement. So that's usually where the calculating comes into place. You need to remember two numbers: 92 weeks and 16 calendar months. No matter how complicated the student is, you should be able to always break down his situation or his past study record into these simple numbers. So how do we look at these numbers? First of all, 92 weeks, it's Cricus code, registered duration. Do you guys know where to search for that? Any ideas? Usually, there is a website for you guys to do that. Let me share with you this website. Yeah, it's here. Okay, can you guys see the website?
Oh, that's interesting.
No, it's not. Sorry. Let me share that again. Share. Is it sharing?
Yep, it's sharing. I can see the crack course is the crack course website.
Yeah, it is. So this is the very like official website for you guys to look at the student's study record. Just pull out all the students' COEs, their past COEs. Look at their COEs. There is something called Cricus code, Cricus course code. There are two kinds of Crackers code. One is course code, one is the provider code. So just check the course code there. And once you input these Crackers course codes, you will be able to find the length of the registered length of this course. Let me show you an example. Let me pull out the students COE. No, this is not bachelor. Bachelor is here. Let me check one thing. 0955515J. That's the one code I just pulled out from one of my student COEs. When you click start search, okay, it comes to the introduction of this course. And here, importantly, there is one column called duration. So what the number you dig out from this website needs to satisfy the 92 weeks. So if the students has multiple courses putting together, for example, like two masters together, you need to look at them both and see if two of them added up. If two of them are added up, they can meet the 92 weeks criteria. So once you got a satisfied number on this website, that means you have satisfied the first important part of the Australian study requirement. And this number is very important, and it is not affected by any credit grants. For example, if students have applied for credit recognition from prior study, his or her actual study time will be shorter. However, on the COE, when you input the Crackers codes, the numbers will be the same. There won't be a shorter number of weeks. The number of weeks are the same as the original one. So that's the way to look at the accurate length of registered length for this course studied. Let's go back to the PowerPoint slides. Is here. Has the PowerPoint slide back? Is it back? Can you guys see the PowerPoint slides?
Yep, we can see the PowerPoint slide.
Okay. So the second part. It's 16 calendar months. That's the actual study period. It needs to be this long. How do we calculate that? So basically just if the students does not have any long study gap, like they haven't skipped even one semester or even one term, if they have multiple degrees, you can do it the same. Just look at the start date of their first COE, and then look at the end date of the final COE. Usually that should be the case. This actual study time starts from the first day of one qualification, one program, till the last day of the program. And the last day of the program, usually you can find it on the COE. Also, there may be some a little bit tiny changes when it really goes to that date. In that case, you need to look at the student's school calendar. Look at the program's look at the program's test date, final exam date. Usually, after a short period after the final exam date, when the students got their last semester's scores, that's the day of the end date. If that date is from the first date to the last day, if that period is longer than 16 calendar months, then it should be totally all right. If the students have multiple qualifications adding up together, For example, if the students are going to have two masters adding up together, you need to calculate the first day and last day by each qualification. Just do them separately and then add it up. So basically, this 16 calendar months includes all the vacations during one study program, but not include the vacation between different programs. So make sure it's more than 16 calendar months. So this is how we can calculate the second part of the criteria. And there is also a very relevant issue on this criteria. That is quite often our students who are getting credit recognized by their university. That means they have shorter study time. In this case, you will need to be careful. Don't let them get too much credit recognitions to reduce their actual study time to less than 16 calendar months. So in the end, how many subjects, the number of subjects that the students have got credit recognition is quite irrelevant to whether he can still be eligible. In the end, it is the time of study. So, for example, many universities got like 4 subjects per semester, right? So that means if a student got credits for 3 of the 4 subjects, he'll still need to study the full time during their last semester. So that won't change the study time, the total study time. But if they got 4 subjects recognized, then there will be 1 semester less of actual study time. So in this case, you will need to be careful. You need to check the university's school calendar carefully, because some universities, even the students got the whole semester cancelled, they still be able to meet 16-month criteria, but it's just barely meeting, probably just 1 month more than the 16-month criteria. And for some universities, if they cancel a whole semester, they will no longer meet the 60 calendar month criteria. So that is the tricky part for everyone to notice. But in the end, you will always be able to look at the details numbers, 92 weeks and 16 calendar months. And at last, there is a small criteria. It's called qualification allowance. When you are adding degrees, when you are adding multiple qualifications together, you can add these qualifications together. The key point is, after the reform last year, you can now add graduate diploma into this second part of the criteria. That's include graduate diploma into the Australian study requirement. So if a student's got 1.5 year master, if they want to do a 1-year graduate diploma, if they do, they'll still be able to meeting the Australian study requirement. And because they already have the master's degree, they'll meet the criteria in whole. That means they'll be eligible for 45 visa. And now let's come to the second part, the visa requirements. 45 visa requires students holding certain kind of visa. So first of all, you need to hold a valid substantive visa at the time of application, and you need to be in Australia. What is a substantive visa? That's a topic I think we've talked about in our last session. So basically, that's all the visas except for those bridging visas. So at least you need to hold some sort of visa. It can be student visa, it can be even visitor visa, 600 visa, or it can be other visas. But it cannot be a bridging visa. It cannot be no visa. So if you don't hold a visa, you are unlawful in Australia, then you won't be able to apply for that visa. That's the first part of the requirement. And then you must either hold a valid student visa or have held a valid student visa in the past 6 months. So that means in the past 6 months, including the date on the date of lodgement, the students at least needs to hold a student visa. So if a student have held a student visa for 1 year ago, from 1 year ago, then he won't be able to meet this criteria. And there is also a time limit. There's also another 6 months time limit for a student. So they need to apply for this visa 6 months within 6 months of completing their higher education course. So that means you need to do that quickly, within 6 months after your graduation. How do we calculate that? This 6 months, you need to look at a document called completion letter. When the student graduates or the student finish their final exam, when they get their final results, they will be able to apply for a document called completion letter. The ending date on the completion letter will be the start date of calculating that 6 months. It's not the day of students getting their degree certificate. That's the award date. We used to have students like graduated on semester 1, but they didn't got their degree awarded until semester 2. So in that case, they missed the time to apply for the 45 visa. They thought the degree awarding time is the graduate time. No, it's not. It's actually the completion time, the time you finish all the course requirements. That is the time you got your final result and pass. So you need to be careful with these time point. And then
Hi, Victor. Sorry, following up on the question, I'm just a bit curious about the student visa. Like, I mean, as long as the student, whether the student is on onshore or offshore, they can still apply for the 45. Is that correct? Or would it be preferred?
no, nowadays students can only apply within Australia. The offshore application has been closed.
Oh, okay, okay.
Together with the end of the COVID concessions. So
Okay.
that was the COVID concession.
Mm.
Yeah, so now you have to apply in Australia.
Okay, I think that's the part where everyone will have to take note. Yeah, as soon as you complete your degree onshore Australia, definitely I always recommend students immediately apply for the 485 as soon as you complete your
Yes,
you complete
yes,
your required bachelor or
yes,
master. Yes, okay.
yes. There are some tricky cases that we have met. For example, if the students thought he could apply from outside Australia, so usually that student visa expiry date was like March 15th. So he just left Australia, thought that he could apply from outside Australia. But the answer was he could not. So he did not have any visa to come back to Australia because his student visa has expired. He needs to apply for a visitor visa. But that becomes a difficulty because once he's outside Australia, applying for a visitor visa will be guided under the visitor visa assessment team. So they will assess his like financial status, asset status, whether you have stable employment. So it was really hard for him to get a visitor visa.
That noted. I think I have to make it very clear that if students wants the 45
Yeah,
for sure after
yeah,
upon
just do that
graduation,
before you leave.
yeah, do that before you leave. Definitely. Yes.
Yeah, in that case, you'll still get a bridging visa to come back to Australia.
Got it. Got it.
And then it's the language proficiency. So it's quite straightforward. If you're taking IELTS test, minimum overall score is 6.0, and 5.0 for each band. And uh, if you're doing a PTE, it's 50, and it's 36 in each component. And if you're doing a TOEFL, it needs to be IBT, not PBT. So it needs to be a computer-based test, not the paper test. The overall scores will need to be 64, and the minimum component scores will need to be 14. Very straightforward, and you have to do that within 1 year before you launch the visa. That's the key part. It used to be 3 years, but some students, for master students, they could still use their like IELTS scores when they apply for the university. But now you need to do that before you apply, before you graduate, probably before you apply for the subclass 45 visa. So you need to do another test. And remember, you need to do that before. You need to get the test result before the date of lodgement. If you're getting for example, if you're doing the test on the first day, then launch the visa on the second day, then you won't be able to grant 45 visa. It will be rejected. And at last is the health and character requirements. So first of all, you need to have an OVHC healthcare purchase. That is a little bit of tricky part. Usually, is the tricky decision is when should I start this OVHC policy, the starting date of the OVHC policy. So basically, for the security reason, for the security of getting a visa, I strongly recommend you just purchase that from the date of lodgement. So that's the that's the uh, that's the latest date I recommend. In some cases, for example, if a student is holding a very long student visa and having their OSHC, the student cover, for a very long time, in some cases, you can purchase from the date of the expire date of student health cover. But I don't really recommend that. It's a tricky maneuver, so it needs a lot of attention and may cause some difficult situations to appear. So, the most safe way is just to purchase from the date of lodgement. If you lodge the visa today, just buy today, start from today, or even earlier. That'll be safer. And then there's another tricky part. It's the Australian Federal Police clearance. That's what we call AFP clearance. You need to apply for that from the Australian Federal Police, proving that you don't have any criminal records. There is one tricky thing on this is the date of your application, the date of the application of that AFP certificate. You need to apply that before the date of lodgement. For example, you have applied for the AFP today. You can't launch the visa today. If you launch the visa today, they will refuse. They will refuse the visa. Okay, and then we're going to talk about extended topic, second 45 visa. I think most of you still remember that during the very beginning, we have talked about this. If students have studied in a a certain area, they will be able to get a second 45 criteria. So I have put the chart of this criteria here for a simpler view. So if you want to get a second 45 criteria, you will need to satisfy two kind of criteria, both study location and the residence location on first 45 visa. You need to satisfy both. And here we can see a lot of names: category 1, category 2, category 3. What are these things? So these things are called designated regional areas. So there are three kinds of category. The C1 is the major cities. It's like Sydney, Melbourne. And C2 is called major regional center. That's kind of like the big cities in the regional area. And C3 is the other regional area. That's like the regional area. Well, how do we find this out? I have put a link here that you can use. And let me share with you. Can you see the website now?
Yep, we can see.
Yeah. So category 1 is very easy. Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane. All the other cities are C2 and C3. How you can decide whether this is C2 or C3? You look at this website. There are postcodes here. And you look at the postcode of residence address and the student's campus and see if they fall into these areas. So we do have some C2 and C3 areas in New South Wales, in Victoria, in Queensland, Western Australia, in all these areas, NT. So just check these postcodes. And we go back to the PowerPoint slides. So if you have studied on a student visa, you did not study in Australia, and your 45 visa is in major cities, they're not eligible. So this is a very rare occasion. So you don't have to really look into this. If you have studied in major cities, and then you move to, after graduation, you move to a C2 area, then you won't be able to get a 45 visa. If you have studied in C2 area and you lived, after graduation, you lived in the C2 area, when you finish your first 45 visa, you will be able to get 1 year extension. That's the length of second 45 visa. And if you live in C3, studied in C3 and then lived in C2, You still got 1 year. And if you have studied in C1 and then you move to C3, not eligible. So basically, the only way you get 2 year extra is that you studied in C3. And then after graduation, you lived in C3 on your 485 visa. So that's kind of the matrix. You can find out how long or whether you can get a second 485 visa. There is one concept here. There is one issue that I need to make clear. Study. What does it mean? So it generally means you satisfied the Australian study requirements in a designated area. That means do you still remember those two numbers? You need to spend 92, you need to study a 92-week program and spend 16 calendar months in that postcode for you to be allowed to satisfy this part, the study part of the criteria. Okay, and then there is one last thing. It's called condition 8610. That means if you are very lucky, you have got your second 485 visa. There are some restrictions. If you are only getting 1 year extension, you must live in C2 or C3 area. If you are getting a 2 year extension, you must live in C3 area. So that's basically all the basic information that you need to know about this graduate visa. Now we are having like 20 minutes for the questions. Questions welcome. Let's see.
All right. I think there were some questions. Just one moment, I'll take a look at that. I think if a student were to graduate from, I think the question, if your question will graduate from a diploma, are they eligible for the 485 visa?
Oh, let me bring the question out. Okay, I saw it. If
Yeah,
a student graduates from a diploma, are they eligible to apply for a 485 visa? Yes, they are, but it's another stream. It's called vocational education stream. Basically, they'll need to do a skills assessment first, and they still need to satisfy the 92 weeks and 16 calendar months, but the allowed degrees qualifications are extended, not limited to just degrees. And I saw a lot of visa refusal because lodgement date was the same with the completion date. Yes. Will he or she have a chance to win? I also saw a lot of refusals on that, but I don't really have a case on that. My first case on this situation is still waiting to meet the members, so I'm not very sure about that. Can 35 years and 5 months before in 5 months year let me see, can in 5 months year old student submit a 485 visa? Let me check that up. I think he shouldn't be. He shouldn't be able to do so.
Because I think I do understand that some of these situations can be a little bit tricky.
No, I don't think so. If someone graduated if someone graduated 5 months before visa expiry, can they apply for 45 visa? Yes, they can. Uh, but you say close to the visa expiry. Visa expiry date. So you need to be careful with that. Technically speaking, they still can, but you need to be careful with that because it's very close to the 6 month limit. So you need to make sure they apply before 6 months, within 6 months of completion.
Okay.
If a student study graduate diploma 1 year followed by master 1 year, is the student still eligible for 45? Yes, it is eligible now.
Yep. I think you did explain about because including the GD and the masters, then they both will be eligible for they will be count under the duration.
Yeah. If a student apply onshore, can they apply for bridging visa immediately? Yes, they can. They can launch the visa immediately, but it will take some days for them to actually get the bridging visa. The IELTS must be academic or general is still accepted. It's both accepted, academic or general. But for PTE, you must do the PTE academic, not the PTE UK visa one. The immigration department won't accept that. After having 45 visa, can I move to other cities to live and work? Yes, there's no limit on that. And then I would like to ask is it is okay to have combined degree? So you have one semester between the end of batch. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So she'll need to yeah, you need to count 2 degrees separately. The start date of first degree and the completion date of the first degree, and calculate the time first, and then calculate the first date of second qualification and last day of the second qualification, and then calculate the second period and add these 2 periods together and see if that period is over 16 months. Don't count the gapped semester. It is the part-time job during the bachelor study that is not relevant to the field of study still counted for the 45 visa application. 45 visa application does not require you to have any work experience. So it's irrelevant whether he or she has any sort of uh work experience. uh, they can always apply for the 45 visa as long as they have studied enough. 92-week study can be combined from 2 different field of study. Yes, any study, any times, any kinds of study, any major should be fine. You can combine Master of Accounting together with a Master of IT. That's okay. Now need to do skills assessment for the post higher education stream. That's the stream we are talking about today. You don't need to do a skills assessment. For the vocational one, you need to do that. Certificate 3, diploma, graduate early childhood can apply for 45. If you don't have a bachelor's degree, then you can't. You can't apply for post higher education stream. You need to go through the vocational stream
I think this
because
one, just to clarify, Victor, I think it's more for like, let's say, example, if a student did a certificate three, then a certificate three, and then a diploma, and then a bachelor, would that still be possible? Because in the end, the student will get a bachelor.
yeah, if there is a bachelor, that is okay. The question here lacks the bachelor degree. So look at here. I kind of separated the criteria into two parts. It's the first one is the degree that you must have. No matter how many you have, you're combining, you must have at least one of these. So that's this part. That's this part's problem. You at least you need to have a degree, have a bachelor degree, master degree, or PhD.
Understood. Okay.
Student do bachelor 3 years, then 485 visa, then do master 2 years, can still apply 485 visa. No, otherwise you will see all the people are doing the same thing here. You can't do that. And then if a student visa expires in March 15th, students come back for holiday in December, it goes back to Australia in Jan. Yeah, still allowed. It's still allowed. And then can student use OHSC for whole duration for 485 visa instead of OVHC? No, that's a no, that's illegal. If you don't, OVHC should cover all the time of 485 visa. Will I be eligible for a post-study work visa? Post-study work visa if complete a master degree and okay. In this question, see, this is a very good example how we utilize our criteria. It's not a yes/no question. I can't answer this question when looking at this just 1.5 years. There's a lot of things going on. What I can do is I can teach you to do that. You need to go back, first of all, look at the COE of your master degree, see if it's registered for more than 92 weeks. If it's like more than 92 weeks, congratulations, at least you're half eligible. And then you need to look at 16 calendar month. You need to carefully look at your completion letter carefully. See the first day and the last day. Calculate the period and see if it's 16 calendar months. If these two are okay, then it's okay. So it's the 1.5 year is not really relevant information for this kind of situation. Just go back, check the COE, check the completion letter, and calculate that. You let me know the outcome of your AAT case. Yeah, sure. I'll let you know. But it will be a long time later. So it just got into the queue. Probably nowadays its queue is like 600 days long. And next one, graduate diploma of business, higher education, 2-year students, can they apply for 45? Okay, another example. Let's go back. First part, do they have at least one of the eligible higher degree education degree? If it's only a 2-year graduate diploma, then no. They won't satisfy the first big chunk of the criteria. If they do, they have a sort of bachelor's degrees in Australia, then it's okay. After obtaining the 45 visa, which includes an additional year of C2, oh yeah. You can do that. Let's go back to here. In here, when you are under condition 8610, for example, you got 1 year, if you got 1 year extension, you must live in either C2 or C3 area. It doesn't really limit it the exact city you're living in. It's just an area. You can live in any C2 or C3 area. You can move from one C2 area to another C2 area. You can move from one C3 area to a C2 area. That's okay. Next one, because the student graduate early and visa expire date will be after 5 months without studying. Yeah, they can. They can just apply for that right away. We do have a lot of students that are like this. And next one, can all bachelor's or master's majors get opportunity to apply for 4A5? There is no limitation on majors. The only limitation is the level of qualification. So that I guess that's an yes, any major, as long as you satisfy the Australian study requirement and having the required degree, then you'll be okay. Next one, on the immigration portal, there's a question about date of request for federal police affiliating with the date on the police certificate or the date when they requested for the police check. That's actually the same question. It's actually the date of lodgement of the AFP application, and it's not the actual date of the issuing date. It's not the issuing date of the AFP certificate. It's the request date. So you should be able to see that from both the receipt after you pay for that application and on the actual AFP certificate, just the request date. After I end my 485 visa, can I change to student visa again or change to other visas? Yes, you can change to student visa again, but that's only technically eligible. So you will need to look into other risks, such as the genuine student risk. If the student has the visa refusal from offshore previously and the student visa granted on second attempt, yeah, they can still apply for 485 visa. Can a visa application be refused due to poor performance in the degree? No. As long as you got the completion letter, you're fine. What are other common error reasons of refusal? The refusal of 485 visa, like 95% of the refusal of the 485 visa are caused by bad preparation of materials. It's not really affected by other issues. It's usually affected by errors. For example, you got your IELTS test too late, or you got your AFP too late, or you didn't have you didn't buy enough OVHC healthcare. It's just all these kind of little things that you could always do better. Can we have PowerPoint slides? Yes, of course, you can have that.
Yeah, we can share it on later on into the separate group chats.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Anything else? Any clarification? I think from I can see, most likely we have actually covered most of the importance of the 485 visa, especially the preparations. Remember, it's the overseas visitor health cover, not the OSAC. They're two separate. They're two separate. I think we've already covered most of them already, Victor. I think that was a very fantastic presentation. Even I myself also learned quite a lot of things about the 485 visa that I've never even occurred to me until today. Any more last minute questions? All right, no worries. But I think we can conclude this session. Thank you so much for everyone for taking this time to attend this session here. Let's say if you have any more additional questions, please feel free to reach out to Yes Education, and we will get back to you in as soon as possible. But other than that, thanks again. Thanks a lot, Victor. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Thank you. All right, have a great weekend ahead. See you guys soon.